Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. If you're a gun owner in Newton County, House District 160 to be exact, take a moment to watch this brief video as we compare Representative Ben Baker versus his challenger Rebecca Jensen when it comes to the Second Amendment. Guys, everyone knows that Kamala Harris is the most aggressive gun grabber in American presidential political history. Her hatred for gun owners is something that she doesn't even try to hide. And that hatred for the Second Amendment is now impacting down ballot races all across the country, including, as you're about to find out, right here in Western Missouri. So it's critical as gun owners that we send a message every single election day to remind the left that Missourians care about freedom and the Second Amendment. And that goes doubly true this year because the stakes are simply that much higher. Now, we cannot tell you guys who to vote for. As a nonprofit, we cannot do that. What we will do, though, is give you guys the information you have to make your own most informed decision. And we're going to begin this case with the challenger, Rebecca Jensen. Rebecca Jensen is not in office, so there's no roll calls to talk to you about. There's no bills that she has filed. But if you spend about 5 seconds on her social media platforms, you'll see that Rebecca Jensen supports Kamala Harris's agenda 100% of the time. She is an absolute dyed-in-the-wool, starry-eyed radical leftist like Kamala Harris who will back the entire gun control agenda in Jefferson City. And as a Democrat candidate here in Missouri, she also then agrees with the Democrat Party platform, which, as you're about to see, is jacked full of gun control. Number one, Rebecca Jensen supports red flag gun seizures for Missouri. You've probably heard of a red flag law, but if you haven't, it's nasty stuff. Somebody can call you in, maybe it's an ex-spouse or a liberal neighbor who doesn't like you. They can call you in, they can say, hey, he could be dangerous. The cops then go to the judge and say, this guy could be dangerous. And when, not if, the judge agrees and he signs that seizure order, the cops come to your home, they kick in your door, and they grab your guns before, here's the important part, before you've ever been charged, let alone convicted, of a crime. It shreds our due process rights. It is guilty until proven innocent, and it's terrible stuff. Rebecca Jensen supports red flag laws here in Missouri. She also backs deadly waiting periods. And everyone knows this. Waiting periods only benefit violent criminals. Only violent criminals would ignore the law. And so when you force law-abiding Missourians to wait 3 days or 5 days or 10 days or 30 days to buy a firearm, you're endangering their safety. There's many cases like this. They're tragic, they're horrific all across the country. Just Google it, where usually women are murdered brutally as they're waiting for permission from their own government to be able to buy a firearm. It's terrible stuff. Rebecca Jensen supports waiting periods here in Missouri. She also backs a gun registry. Now, whether that's universal background checks or a permit from the state or whatever it is, the outcome is the same. Rebecca Jensen and today's Democrats here in Missouri want you in a central database as a gun owner. They want to criminalize private party sales and get all of us into a central database. And we all know why. There's no point in trying to hide it, right? The left needs our names in a database to affect eventual gun confiscation. That's it. That's the reason, and we all know it. Rebecca Jensen supports that. Also, she wants to repeal Missouri's Stand Your Ground law. Now, we passed this in 2016, and without Stand Your Ground law, if somebody attacks you and your family in Newton County and you draw your firearm, they don't stop, you use your firearm and you shoot this person in self-defense, even if the force was lawfully used, you could be charged with a crime because you did not back up enough steps first. Stand Your Ground law allows you to, pardon the pun, stand your ground right where you are and use appropriate, justifiable force. The left wants to repeal that, and in a blue county environment, that means you're going to get charged with a crime, even though your only quote-unquote crime was defend your family against a violent criminal. That's crazy. Every single agenda item you can think of, Rebecca Jensen is a radical leftist who supports gun control in a way that, frankly, we've rarely seen from a candidate here in Western Missouri in particular. That's Rebecca Jensen. And that brings up Ben Baker. Now, normally we get professional headshots for these videos, but frankly, I couldn't help myself because when I searched Ben's name on Google to look for the right photograph, and the left had found this photograph of Ben. Probably has a semi, but it could be a fully automatic light machine gun there. He has the plates, he has the mag pouch on front, and the left hates this photograph. So to trigger all the lefties here in Missouri, we put this photograph up on the board for Ben Baker. So with Ben Baker, it's a little bit different. In fact, it's the exact opposite of Rebecca Jensen. Ben's been in office since 2018. He has a 6-year record of fighting to expand gun rights here in Missouri. I'm going to break it down for you guys here right now. Number one, Ben Baker has surveyed 100% pro-gun with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. You can see Ben's survey on our website right now. Every question we asked him, 100% pro-gun answers. And to put it in writing means that Ben Baker actually believes this stuff. But more than that, it's the things he's done that you can measure here in Jeff City. Number one, Ben Baker, just last session, no, 2 years ago now, was our lead sponsor on enhanced stand your ground law. Remember I referred to how Rebecca wants to repeal stand your ground law? Well, the law we have right now in Missouri is good. But frankly, in an era with Soros-backed prosecutors like Kim Gardner before she was kicked out over in St. Louis, in an era like that, we have to constantly beef up our self-defense laws. Here in Missouri right now, if you use your firearm, in the eyes of the law, you're presumed guilty and you have to prove your innocence in court. In many other states, though, 20 states to be exact, that presumption is flipped. And you, the gun owner, are presumed innocent, and the government has to prove your guilt. Now, that might seem like a small difference, but it's not. It's actually a huge deal. And by giving the gun owner the presumption of innocence, you're far more protected from bogus charges in criminal court. Ben Baker agrees. He was our lead sponsor on that bill just 2 years ago. Ben also, though, fought to help us pass the Second Amendment Preservation Act, or SAPA law for short, here in Missouri in 2021. SAPA law is very critical because without SAPA, the problem we have here is that even though Missouri is a very pro-gun state, we have a federal government that is out of control. And Joe Biden, for 3.5 years, has tried to use his executive authority to force Missouri cops to enforce federal gun control laws. So even though these are Missouri cops who are supposed to enforce Missouri gun laws, which are passed by the Missouri General Assembly, they're being co-opted by the federal government. SAPA law is designed to put a stop to all that, and Ben Baker was critical in that fight in the Missouri House in 2021. He's also the lead sponsor of various forms of church carry legislation. It's a big issue for Ben. And if you've ever been there in committee, as I have many times, the Democrats always throw a complete conniption fit and they lose their mind at why would anyone want to have a firearm in a church? And the answer is always pretty obvious in my mind. Why would anybody be opposed to it? In 2024, it's very obvious the radical left constantly seems to target Christians, whether it's in churches or in church schools or other religious experiences, to go after those locations to carry out mass attacks. It happened just last year, for example, at the PCA church school in Tennessee. And so these days, more than ever, churches need to take steps to provide for their own security. And here in Missouri right now, you have to have a permit from the government if you want to carry in a church or have permission from the church. Ben's bill would wipe that all away and make churches a free area to carry for gun owners unless the church has a no guns allowed sign. So a lead sponsor on that. And of course, as you can imagine, Ben is a hell no on AR-15 bans. Pretty obvious given the photograph. That's not an AR-15, just to be clear. He's a no on red flag laws. He's a no on all the gun control agenda items being pushed today here in Missouri by the Democrats, again, including Rebecca Jensen. So guys, if you see Ben Baker, thank the guy for 6 years of fighting for your gun rights. If you see Rebecca Jensen, I'd ask her to publicly repudiate her support for Kamala Harris, and especially her support for Kamala Harris's incredibly extreme gun control agenda. Guys, don't forget, the election is Tuesday, November 5. Get out there, get your friends, all your gun buddies, make sure they're all educated, make sure they have the facts, tag them in the comment section right now so they see this video. And let's all send a message in November that Missouri stands for freedom.